The film which you are about to see is the account of the horrific tragedy which befell two college students in Georgia. Originally attending the University of Florida, both 18-year-old Michael Pirie and 20-year-old Grant Lockenbach both loved school and were both highly intelligent young men. For you see, Grant had just received an international bachelor's degree from DeLand High School back in 2006, while on the other hand, Michael was a freshman who worked hard enough to make the Dean's List academic scholar and was also on the marching band. Both of these young men also loved to go on adventures, and in doing so, both decided to join the university's caving club, and in a few months, the team was off for their first descent into the earth. The location they were heading to? Why, no other than Ellison's cave, located on top of Pigeon Mountain in Georgia's northwest corner. The cave itself measures an incredible 1,000 feet in depth and an even more incredible 64,000 feet in length. This cave also features multiple deadly waterfalls alongside some of the longest, deepest vertical drops in America, with some reaching an insane depth of 586 feet. The cave truly was a difficult one that should only have been traversed by professionals. Unfortunately though, this time was not one of those times. On the fateful day of February 12, 2011, Michael and Grant would join the rest of the group consisting of 5 men and 5 women and make the 6-hour and 30-minute trip from Gainesville to the northwest corner of Georgia. Once they got there, they parked the car at the bottom of the mountain and began what was about to be the most treacherous hikes of their lives. And to make matters worse, thinking that they were just going to Georgia and that it wouldn't be so cold, the entire group came here in only shorts and t-shirts. Though being that it was still in the middle of the winter, and by the time that they reached the top of the mountain and were staring at the entrance, they were already shivering and cold. But not wanting to just waste a trip like this, they all began preparing and started their descent. The team was only supposed to go halfway through the cave, as none of them were equipped for the incredibly high drops, nor were any of them trained to do such an incredible feat anyway. So all in all, this was supposed to be just a short, fun little trip inside the cave. Then, as they were descending down, everything was going great, as everyone was traversing through many of the cave's tight and claustrophobic passageways without much issue. And before they knew it, they were already at the first drop-off and began celebrating. Though unfortunately, it would be around this time that one of the students would kick a bag containing most of the important equipment down the shaft. Then, as celebration quickly turned to panic, everyone was trying to figure out what to do. That would be when Grant would step up and volunteer and try to descend down this massive cave edge himself. Unfortunately though, just like the rest of the group, he was inexperienced, and because everyone was so inexperienced, no one had the proper equipment to actually rappel down this colossal edge. Nevertheless though, Grant knew that if they didn't get that bag back, that they would definitely be in trouble on their way back out. So with as much gear as they had, they made a harness and rigged Grant to the cave floor, and without too much hesitation, he was off. And at first everything was going great, as he was having minimal troubles, though at first this only lasted until about the 100-foot mark. It wasn't clear at first what was happening, but without warning the rope was starting to shake uncontrollably. That was until one of the students peered over the edge and noticed that Grant had got stuck. Somehow he had become entangled in the rope around a certain point and began flying uncontrollably, trying to get himself unstuck. Unfortunately though, it would also become impossible for Grant to see clearly or work competently, as he was also stuck right under one of the many waterfalls that were located inside the cave. Then, as he saw his friend struggling, it would be around this time that Michael would decide to tie off a second rope and scale down to try to help his friend. Though being even more unprepared than Grant was, he knew that it would be a struggle for sure, but he was willing to try his best. Then as Michael started his descent, he would begin to hear the cries of Michael coming from down below, as most of his cries were being drowned out by the rushing waterfall that was rushing all over him. As he approached him and too found himself under the waterfall, he would also become stuck under the freezing water as he struggled to even get a grip on the rope, just as Grant before him. And then, just like in someone's horrible nightmare, both friends realized the horrible situation that they were now in and started yelling for help. Paralyzed by fear though, and knowing that if any of their other friends attempted to try to rescue the pair, that they too would most likely become stuck as well, contributing to an even worse, difficult professional rescue effort, resulting in the other students staying put as they would finally call the police for help and trying to send a rescue team as quickly as possible. All the while, they could do nothing but listen in terror as their friends down below were calling out for help. And although they were scared, the group up top made sure to tell Grant and Michael to not stop calling out. That way they at least would know that the two were still okay. Though as 1 hour slowly became 2 and 3 hours and the velocity of the freezing waterfall over them never wavered, their cries for help would slowly become lower and lower and less frequent as time went on. That was at least until about 2:20 p.m. when their cries for help would completely go silent. A few minutes later, the rescue team would finally arrive and were quickly able to make their way down to the friends. Though unbeknownst to the students, since they decided to venture inside this cave during the wintertime, the water that was flooding the boys had actually run off ice and snow from the outside, and because of this, the water was only a few degrees from freezing over. Meaning that horrifically after 8 long hours of trying to recover their bodies added on to their already 3 hours of exposure, both Michael's and Grant's bodies were almost completely marine blue, with a nightmarish expression of terror permanently etched into their faces. Then the other students were also brought out immediately, as most of them were already suffering from early hypothermia themselves, let alone severe mental stress. And at the end of all, the sheriff had just deemed that the kids were not prepared at all and should never have entered the cave, and just let out a warning that the cave is only for professionals and should only be traversed by the most experienced of spelunkers. And unfortunately, this horrible tragedy must be a reminder to us all never to go anywhere or do anything that we have no business doing. So may Michael and Grant both rest in peace. And with that being said, thank you once again for watching. Remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons and turn on the notification bell for more content in the future. Goodbye for now.